but you're savage, love. When you kiss me, I know you don't get two fucks, but I still want that. You're savage, love. You're savage, love, love. You're savage, love, love, love. You could use me, 'cause I still want that. Baby, I hope that this ain't karma, 'cause I get around. You wanna run it up, I wanna lock it down. Usually don't be falling fast. You got a way of making me spend up all my cash. Every night and every day, I try to make you stay, but you're savage, love. Did somebody break your heart? Looking like an angel, but you're savage, love. When you kiss me, I know you don't get two fucks, but I still want that. You're savage, love. You're savage, love, love, love. You're savage, love, love, love. You could use me, 'cause I still want that. You're savage, love. You're savage, love, love, love. You're savage, love, love, love. You could use me, baby. Love, there's somebody.
We are ISCO Online Review. Administered by competent UP scholars, we offer a comprehensive and fun way to make you feel confident for your college entrance exams. Hey, I am Arvin Joshua P. Berlongo, and you can call me Arvin, and I am currently a junior student of the University of the Philippines, Los Baños, taking up Bachelor of Science in Agriculture, major in Horticulture, specializing in crop breeding and genetic resources. So here at ISCO Online Review, I will be your teacher in biology and language proficiency both for English and Filipino.
Hi! I'm Jimena Pineda, but you can call me Ate Jem. I'm taking up BS Physics in University of the Philippines, Baguio. Here at ISCO, I will be your teacher in physics. See ya!
Hi, I'm Dennis Christian Rojas. You can call me Kuya Dennis. I'm currently a BS Computer Science student in my third year in UP Diliman, and I will be teaching you algebra and reading comprehension. See you there!
Hi, my name is Barbie Florana. I'm currently a third-year student taking up BS Nutrition in University of the Philippines, Las Bañas. Here at ISCO, I'll be your teacher in Earth Science and Chemistry.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Zapay from the University of the Philippines, Los Baños, a third-year civil engineering student, and I will be your lecturer on geometry, statistics, and trigonometry.
Our vision is to be the best learning institution for students who want to enter into the top universities in the Philippines. We aim to be the pillar that helps mold the minds of future ISCO and ISCAs, to arm them with skills that will fuel their success, and to empower them to be the future professionals for the service of the country.
Para sa bayan.
Para sa bayan.
Para sa bayan.
Para sa bayan.
Kami ang ISCO Online Review.
Agapay
na mga susunod na eskolar
ng bayan.
So yan, hello guys, and I will be your lecturer ngayon sa ating language proficiency. But before that, I hope na after this session, marami kayong matututunan about the different subtests sa ating mga college entrance exams. So thank you for choosing us and thank you for registering for this. So yan, let's start sa ating language proficiency. So, ang language proficiency, sa karaniwan sa mga CETs, sa UPCAT, 85 items siya, then it will be for 50 minutes. So, it is very important for us. First step is to have a very great time management tactic. Yung strategy natin dyan, kumbaga. So, yeah, it will be very important not only in language proficiency, but even in other subtests sa ating mga science, ganyan, math, reading compre, lalo na yun. Diba? So, let's start. So this is the first question. So if a student studies hard, blank. So we will continue the sentence. A, you can achieve a high score. B, he or she can achieve a high score. Or letter C, they can achieve a high score. So I will give you siguro 10 seconds to answer this. Okay, so what is the answer dito? So if you answered letter A, if you answered letter A, it is wrong. Bakit wrong yung letter A? If you answered letter C, it is also wrong. So punta tayo, bakit letter B, 'di ba? So this question is an example of a problem in sentence consistency. Sentence consistency, and it is an example ng shift in person. So dapat when we are making sentences, it must be consistent. And itong type na to, ang possible error dito is to have a shift in person. So paano yung shift in person? Tignan natin. So sa una, if a student studies hard. If a student studies hard, wow, we all know na in the determiners, ang a, it signify, ang a and an ay ginagamit kapag indefinite. Kapag indefinite yung tinutukoy natin. Whereas, yung the, ginagamit yon kapag definite. Like, for example, the laptop. The HP laptop. Sobrang definite niya di ba? The branded clothing. Yung mga ganun na stuff. Sobrang definite niya. So, tingnan natin. Dito, indefinite siya. Kaya, student. So, dun pa lang, meron na tayong idea na this is a sentence na nasa third person. Merong nagsasabing iba. So, tignan natin. If a student studies hard, ano dapat? So, yung he and she can achieve a high score, yung sabi nating sagot. So, bakit hindi letter C? Tignan natin, bakit hindi letter C? X na agad yung letter C. Kasi, they can achieve a high score. Ito ay rules of plural and singular, which is discussed during elementary. So, tignan natin, X na yung C kasi, if a student, it is singular, so it is not possible na magkaroon tayo ng plural sa next nating statement. So, X na yun. So, sa A, possibly may mga nagsagot sa inyo ng A. Pero bakit hindi yun yung sagot? Remember, this is a statement, a general statement being said by a person. Generally. So, naka-third person siya. Whereas, yung A, yung you can achieve a high score, that is in the second person na meron kang sinasabihan. If a student studies hard, you can achieve a high score. Meron kang sinasabihan. Pero, mali yun. Kasi dapat, if you will push this na you can achieve a high score, dapat, if you study hard, you can achieve a high score. Dapat, ganun siya. So, I hope that is clear. Let's move on. I prepared 2 questions for language proficiency na English. So, dito. The criminals left the mall, ran swiftly, and disappear. Or no error. Ganito yung pinakamaraming items sa ating mga college entrance exams. Pero tingnan natin, bakit letter? So, yeah, I will give you 10 seconds to answer this. Okay, this is an example of another problem in sentence consistency. And it is an example of shift in tense. So, ano yung tense? Kapag meron kayong mga ganitong problem, tignan nyo yung mga verbs niya. pare-parehas ba sila ng tense? Pare-parehas ba silang present tense? Pare-parehas ba silang past tense or future tense, di ba? So dito, if you will see, bakit letter D ang sagot? Kasi hindi siya naka-past tense. Kasi tignan nyo, the criminals left, which is in the past tense, ran, which is also in the past tense, and dapat ito ay disappeared. Ito yung mga little errors na hindi natin napapansin minsan. Kasi karaniwan din siyang sinasabi, right? So yun, this is an example of shift in tense, and kailangan when constructing a sentence, dapat pare-parehas sila ng tense. So ayun lang yun. So let's move sa Filipino natin. Ito, nagluto, blank, Ray at Kiel para sa kanilang mga kaibigan. So I will give you 5 seconds. Wow, naging 5 seconds na lang. 5 seconds to answer this kasi Filipino naman siya. So 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay. So, paano? Let's eliminate. So una, X na dyan yung letter A and letter C. Bakit? Kasi singular. Again, singularity and plurality. A is singular, C is singular, so cancel na yon. So pwede kang maiwan sa sila at sina. So ito, tingnan natin. Ano ba yung difference nila? Paano sila nagkaiba? Always remember this. This can be a very common mistake. Na ang sila ay ginagamit bilang panghalip. It is used as a pronoun in English, di ba? So dapat walang kasunod na pangalan, walang kasunod na noun. Kasi yung pronouns, it is known as it is used as an exchange for noun. Ibig sabihin, for example, itong sentence na to, kapag ang answer nyo is sila, dapat ay sila ay nagluto para sa kanilang mga kaibigan. Kasi pinalitan natin yung Ray and Kiel ng sila. Kasi pronoun siya, di ba? In exchange of noun. So, ang tama sa ko dito ay sina. So, ito ang difference nila. Yung sila ay ginamit bilang panghalip. Whereas, yung sina ay ginagamit bilang pantukoy. Pantukoy siya. So, may mga sumusunod dito na pangalan. So, kapag merong sumusunod na noun, ibig sabihin, sina ang gagamitin nyo. Kasi ang ginagamit siya bilang pantukoy. Ayun na naman. So, that's it for our language proficiency session. Language proficiency. And I will now pass the stage to your teacher in algebra. So, take it away, Dennis.
Hello! Good afternoon. Next, we're gonna learn about algebra. Ako nga pala si Dennis. You can call me Kuya Dennis. I'm a BS Computer Science student in UP Diliman. Okay, so let's try to study algebra. Basta siya, medyo madilim ako pero hindi nyo naman ako titignan. Makikita nyo actually is yung kamay ko. So dito, magkasolve tayo ngayon ng algebra questions. Alright, so I have here an algorithm that will surely help you in your algebra problems. Alright, ito siya. First of all is know the given. Alamin nyo muna kung ano yung binigay sa inyo ng mga facts or binigay sa inyo ng mga data. And then, ano din yung hinahanap, no? Kasi mahirap yun kapag di mo alam kung ano pala yung hinahanap o ano yung unknown ng question mo. Number 2 is get the algebraic expression. There will always be an algebraic expression in each question sa algebra. So get that algebraic expression. And number 3 is solve for the unknown. And that's just, meron tayong mga rules sa algebra for that. Alright, so that is the algorithm. Let's have here a problem. Peter's age is twice the age of John. John, on the other hand, is 5 years older than James. After 5 years, the age of Peter is equal to twice the age of James. How old is John in the present? O, di ba nakaka-overwhelm siya sa una mong tingin? Parang, oh no, ano paano ko to sasagutan, ganun. Pero, remember that, sa una talagang nakaka-overwhelm siya. Pero, ang pwede natin gawin at here is to organize our data. By the way, this is what we call an age or time problem, no? Kasi hinahanap mga edad nila. So, age or time problem. Okay, so we need to organize the data. Sige, tingnan muna nga natin, i-scrutinize natin. So, Peter's age is twice the age of John. John, on the other hand, is 5 years older than James. Then, meron ka ditong after 5 years. So, after 5 years, the age of Peter is equal to twice the age of James. Alright, so, meron tayong tatlong tao dyan. Galista natin sila dito sa baba. So, we have there Peter, John, and then James. And sila yung magiging rows natin, no? Ano naman yun yung columns natin, Kuya Dennis? How can we know that? Alright, actually, kung scrutinize siya, merong binigay yung problem na age nila the present time and after 5 years. Right? So, meron silang data for now, for the present. For the present. And then they have data after 5 years. So, makakatulong actually sa atin. And yun yung magiging columns natin. Okay? Sige, try natin. So, here pala, ang magandang gawin natin na reference is si James. Bakit? Si John man yung hinahanap natin sa dulo, pero maganda maging reference James kasi Peter at si John, meron silang reference kay James, di ba? Tignan mo, after 5 years, Peter is equal to thrice the age of James, di ba? Dito naman, John on the other hand is 5 years older than James. So magandang gawing reference si James as our unknown, tsaka nalang kunin natin si John, no? Kasi both Peter and John has a relation sa age ni James. So John daw is 5 years older than James. So 5 years older than James, right? And then Peter, on the other hand, is twice the age of John. So ito yung age ni John, magiging twice yun, no? And after 5 years, of course, tumanda lang naman si James ng 5, and John will be x plus 5 plus 5 or x plus 10, right? But Peter, sabi dito, after 5 years, the age of Peter is thrice the age of James. So ito yung age ni James at that time, magiging thrice the age of James. Alright. And so ito na yung na-categorize natin na given. How can we get the algebraic expression? Well, as you can actually see, ito yung age ni Peter at the present. And if we add 5 here, it should be equal to this one, right? If we add 5 here, it should be equal to this one. And that will be our algebraic expression. Let's do it here. All right, so 2x plus 5 plus 5, it must equal the age of James na times 3. Okay? And from here on out, it's already algebra, right? So this will be 2x plus 10 plus 5, di ba? Plus 5 is equal to 3x plus 15. Okay? And this will be 2x plus 15 is equal to 3x plus 15. Lipat natin yung 15 dito and yung 2x dito. This will be 15 minus 15. Ooh. And 3x minus 2x. Alright, so x will be actually equal to 0. Oh my God. Alright. So, by this time, si James ay actually sanggol pa lang kasi silang pa lang niya, no? John will be 0 plus 5, so that means 5 years old. And Peter will be 0 plus 5 times 2, that will be 10 years old, di ba? So 10 years old si Peter. And then, after 5 years, of course, James will be 5 years old, John will be 10 years old, and then Peter will be 0 plus 5 times 3, that will be 15, right? 15. And totoo nga, no? That after 5 years, the age of James will be thrice times 3 the age. The age of Peter will be times 3 the age of James. So, di ba ang amazing nun? So, naging congruent na yung ano natin. Alright, ang hinahanap natin is the age of John in the present. And that is actually 5, no? So, the right answer here is letter A. Okay, that's just one problem in algebra na na-dissect natin. Pero there are plenty more problems that we can dissect. No? May mga mixture problems, motion problems, time problems, just as this one. So, thank you for listening and I hope may natutunan kayo. And yun. See you mamaya sa reading comprehension. Bye-bye!
Thank you, Dennis. And hi, guys. My name is Barbie, and I'll be teaching you chemistry. So here's our question. And as you can see, it's about moles. But first, what is mole? Para mas maintindihan natin kung ano ba yung mole, bibigyan ko muna kayo ng example. Like, 1 dozen. Diba sa isang dozen, may 12 things. Like 12 donuts, 12 roses, or 12 eggs. Pati yung pairs. Merong 2, diba? Pair of hands, pair of jeans, pair of scissors. And here, sa isang mole, meron naman tayong 6.02 times 10 raised to 22 particles, either atoms or molecules. So, ibig sabihin, sa isang mole, may ganon karami na particles. May ganon karami na atom. May ganon karami na molecules. So, let's proceed to our question. Ammonia and oxygen react together to form nitrogen, monoxide, and water. So as you can see here in the reaction, 4 moles of ammonia reacts with 5 moles of oxygen to form 4 moles of nitrogen monoxide and 6 moles of water. How many grams of water will form when 34 grams of ammonia reacts with excess oxygen? As you can see, given na dito yung atomic weight nila ng bawat elements. Pero sa ibang college entrance exam, hindi to binibigay. Kaya importante na kabisaduhin niyo yung mass ng common elements like carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. Kung kaya nyo pa magkabisado ng iba, why not? And here, para mas ma-solve natin to na mas madali, I'll give you some technique. It's called guess method. And maybe some of you alam na yun, and maybe hindi pa. So, nakakatulong talaga siya to solve. Ito, guess, and it stands for given, unknown equation, or formula, substitute, and then solve. First, analyze mo yung problem. Ano ba yung given? Ang sabi dito, 34 grams of ammonia. So, yun yung given natin. And ano ba yung hinahanap? Ano yung unknown? As you can see dito, how many grams? So, grams yung hinahanap. Grams ng alin? Of water. So, ayan yung unknown natin. Next, yung equation natin, makikita natin dito yung flow ng pagkakasolve. Sa isa substance A, grams of substance A, kung yun yung binigay, i-convert mo siya sa mole. And then, yung mole ng substance A, i-convert mo pa siya sa mole ng substance B. And then, the grams of substance B. As you can see here, yung substance A natin yung ammonia. Grams. And then, i-convert natin siya sa mole ng ammonia, then mole ng water molecule, and then grams ng water molecule. So, basically, parang isa-substitute lang natin siya sa flow. We have 34 grams of ammonia. Yan yung given. And then, i-convert natin siya sa mole. Paano i-convert yan sa mole? Doon na pumapasok ang molar mass. Basically, ang ibig sabihin lang sa molar mass, ilang grams ang meron sa isang mole. Kasi, di ba remember, pares-pares sila ng bilang ng atoms and molecules sa isang mole. However, they differ in mass. Diba sa periodic table of elements, makikita ba na iba-iba sila ng mass. So, kahit para sila ng bilang ng atoms, magkakaiba sila ng mass. And sa isang mole ng ammonia, merong 17 grams of ammonia. Saan yan nahanap? So, let's go back to atomic weight. As you can see, di ba, yung N, merong 14 grams sa isang mole. And then, yung hydrogen, merong isa. So, ita-times lang natin yan sa 3. 1 times 3. So, kasi since we have 3 atoms of hydrogen. So, pag inad yan, 14 plus 3, 17 grams. So, doon natin nakuha ang molar mass ng ammonia. And then, paglagay natin ng molar mass, and guys, pwede to mabaliktad. Ang technique dyan, para hindi nyo mabaliktad, kung anong gusto nyo i-cancel, kunwari nasa taas to. Yes, nasa taas kasi 'di ba may imaginary naman, meron talaga yung 1 sa baba. So, para ma-cancel to, ilalagay mo yung grams ng ammonia sa baba. Okay? So, tapos na tayo sa molar mass. I-convert na natin siya sa mole ng water molecule. Unang water. So, in order for us to do that, kailangan natin ng mole
ratio. So, ano ba yung mole ratio? Let's go back to the reaction. Sabi dito, in every 4 moles of ammonia, may na-form na 6 moles of water molecule. So, that's our ratio. So, ipa-plug in lang natin yan. So, kung anong gusto mong i-cancel, yun ang ilalagay mo sa baba. So, as you can see, diba, ang gusto mong i-cancel yung mole of ammonia. Kaya, ilalagay mo yung 4 moles sa baba. Next, diba, ginamit natin dito yung molar mass and then molar ratio. Para ma-convert yung moles natin to grams, kailangan na naman natin ulit ng molar mass. So, saan ba nakuha yung 18 grams of water? Again, babalik tayo sa atomic weight. I-add lang natin yan. Yung H, di ba may 1 grams per mole times 2 lang yan. And then, i-add natin siya sa atomic weight ng oxygen, which is 16 grams. Alright. So, ito yung molar mass natin. Diba, andito yung moles natin sa baba kasi yun yung gusto nating i-cancel. Compare dito sa ammonia na sa baba yung grams. Okay, kasi pwede natin yun ma-interchange. So, dahil wala tayong calculator, imamano-mano natin siya. 34 grams times 1, 34, divided by 17, 2. So, let's cancel this. And 2 times 6, 12, divided by 4, ilan? 3. And then, pag tinimes mo siya sa 18, ang sagot ay 54 grams. So, we have 54 grams of water molecule in every, 54 grams ng H2O kapag merong 34 grams of ammonia. Ayun. And, next naman natin ay earth science. Kung saan ako rin naman na magtuturo.
So here comes our earth science. But first, let's read the question.
It says here, the diagram below represents geological processes that act continuously on Earth to form different rock types. Which set correctly classifies each rock type? Hindi ko muna bubasahin yung choices, but as you can see here sa diagram, medyo nakaka-intimidate kasi ang daming arrows. Pero bago natin yan sagutan, alamin muna natin yung rock cycle. So as you can see here in the next slide, ito yung rock cycle. Medyo nakaka-intimidate na naman ulit kasi ang daming arrow, pero himay-himayin natin yan. First, let's look sa metamorphic rock. Kapag nag-melt siya at naging magma, tapos lumamig, nag-cool, nag-solidify, then it will become an igneous rock. However, igneous rock can be an igneous rock once again kapag nag-melt siya, naging magma, at nag-cool ulit, nag-solidify. Ayan, igneous rock. Yung igneous rock, pwede rin siyang maging metamorphic rock. Kapag na-experience siya ng heat and pressure, tapos nag-solidify siya. So, pwede nyo siyang i-relate sa sarili mo kapag na-pressure ka, no? I'm becoming a metamorphic rock, ganon. And technique yun, it's a tip na pwede mo siyang i-relate or gumawa kayo ng joke. So, mas matandaan at mas maintindihan nyo yung concept na inaaral nyo. And, naging metamorphic rock na siya kasi naka-experience siya ng heat and pressure and nag-solidify. So, let's go back to the igneous rock. Igneous rock can be a sedimentary rock kapag nag-erode siya at saka na weather. So, parang nadurog, ganyan. And, nagkaroon ng transfer from one place to another. Tapos, naging sediment siya. So, yung mga sediments na yun, magko-compact, mag-squeeze, and magkakaroon ng cementing, ibig sabihin, magdidikit-dikit sila, ayun, magiging sedimentary rock sila. And sedimentary rock can be in sedimentary rock once again, kapag nag-erode siya, nag-weather, ganyan, naging sediment, at nag-compact and nag-cement lang ulit. So, magiging sedimentary rock lang ulit siya. Sedimentary rock can be a metamorphic rock kapag naka-experience siya ng heat and pressure. Tas nag-solidify. Ayun, metamorphic rock. Diba na-discuss natin kanina na metamorphic rock pwede maging igneous rock, pero yung metamorphic rock pwede siyang maging sedimentary rock. Kapag, again, nagkaroon ng weathering at erosion, naging sediment, nagkaroon ng compacting, ayan yung pag-squeeze ng grains, and cementing, ayan yung pagdikit-dikit nila, ayan, magiging sedimentary rock. So, cycle lang yun sila. So, dahil alam na natin yung process, yung rock cycle, let's go back to the question, to the diagram itself. So, pwede kayong tumingin dito, first sa rock type 1, and then sa arrow na B. Pero, ang sabi dito sa B, melting followed by cooling and solidification. So, itong rock type 1 pala, nag-melt, tapos, nag-solidify, then naging rock type 2. Ibig sabihin, diba, kanina, sa na-discuss natin, kapag nag-melt siya, yung magma na nag-solidify, nag-cool, igneous rock siya. So, as you can see, yung B natin, igneous rock yan. Pwede nyo na agad tingnan dito, kung yung tuba, yung numbers dyan stands for the rock type. So, kung alin dyan yung igneous rock na number 2. So, sa A, hindi. Cancel na agad yan. Yung 2, yes. And yung D. So, ang pagpipilian na lang natin yung B and D. So, actually, ang ginagawa natin dito yung process of elimination. Nag-eliminate na agad natin para makasave tayo ng time. Okay? It's another technique. So, dahil dalawa na lang, let's go sa C. Tingnan natin kung ano ba yung C. Sabi sa C, heat and pressure accompanied by chemical activity. Diba according kanina, kapag girl, na pressure ka, maging metamorphic rock ka na. So, dahil sa nagkaroon ng nirelate natin, medyo natandaan natin kung ano ba yung C. And, it's a metamorphic rock. So, ibig sabihin, yung rock type 3, it's a metamorphic rock. So, alin dito sa dalawang to, yung may 3 at metamorphic rock. As you can see, yung B lang, yung D, hindi na. So, ang tamang sagot natin dito ay letter B. So, doon na nagtatapos yung earth science natin. And for next, yung biology, let's welcome again Arvin.
And techniques from your teachers. Next, high-yield study materials created by your own teachers will be given after the review sessions for further study. And lastly, take the mock test. We will send you a report of your progress after the review. So, here are our rates. For the early bird promo, if you are registering alone, that will be 899 pesos. But, if you will be registering as a group of 3, that will be 799 pesos. So what are you waiting for? Invite your friends. This promo will only be until August 24. But, wait, there is more. After that, registration is still open. If you are registering alone for our regular rate, that will be 1,000 pesos. But as a group of 3, that will be 899 pesos. We are hoping to see you in our review sessions. Again, this is Isko Online Review, kaagapay ng mga susunod na iskolar ng bayan. Natin, kapag affected siya ng isang disease, naka-shake. So dito, yung numbers doon sa 1, yung number 1 and 2, that indicates the generation. So that can be 1, 2, 3, 4, ganon. And then kapag yan nagkaroon pa ng number 3, kunwari yung square dito sa may left side ay nagkaroon pa ng branch papababa, yung nasa taas, yung number 1, it will become the grandparent generation. Tapos itong number 2, magiging siyang parent generation. Tapos yung mga nasa baba, ayun yung children generation. So, ayun yung format in writing a pedigree. So, kapag naman meron tayong cases ng identical na twins, so magiging siyang ganyan, magiging connected. So, magiging gano'n, para siyang triangle, tapos meron dalawang circle sa baba. That's for identical twins. Kapag naman non-identical na twins, meron tayong gano'n, tapos square, tapos below, which means hindi sila parehas. So, that being said, tignan natin. Which of the following statements best describes the pedigree? So, nalaman natin from that discussion na na ang affected ay naka-shade. So, bilangin natin yung mga naka-shade. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So, may 9 na individuals na affected. With that, malalaman natin na ang letter B and ang letter D ay cancelled na. That is the process of elimination. That is very helpful in answering college entrance exams. I-eliminate na natin yung letter B and yung letter D. Kasi, sabi doon, 12 individuals are affected. Therefore, it is already false. So, punta tayo sa A and C. Ngayon, titingnan na lang natin kung autosomal dominant disease ba siya or sex-linked disease ba siya. So, let's move to this slide. Yan. Here are some common patterns of inheritance. So, meron tayong tinatawag na autosomal dominant. Kapag autosomal dominant, it never skips a generation. Which means from the grandparent to your parents to you, merong ganong klase ng disease or ng trait. So, an example of this is yung free earlobes. Tignan nyo yung dito nyo. If free earlobe ang tawag dyan. So, if free yung yung earlobe nyo, meron kayong autosomal dominant na trait. Right? So, next is autosomal recessive. Kapag autosomal recessive, it skips a generation. Which means, unaffected na parents can have affected children. So perhaps, nasa grandparent generation, nasa mga lolo or lola nyo, yung trait na yun, tapos nag-skip sa parents nyo, tapos meron sa inyo. So, an example of this ay inability to roll tongue. So, kung yun ay kaya nyo, it means yung parents nyo hindi nila kaya yun. Diba? So, it's an autosomal recessive na trait. So, next is sex-linked dominance. So, kapag sinabi nating sex-linked dominance, ito yan. It is an inheritance from father to daughter. So, take note of this. Dun sa sex-linked natin, may sex-linked dominant and may sex-linked recessive. So, the difference of that is this. Sa sex-linked dominance is from father to daughter. An example of this is defective enamel of P. Sa sex-linked recessive naman is from mother to son. So, yung tao nakakamana ay yung son, tas galing sa mother yon. An example of this is color blindness. So, if you have mga friends nyo na colorblind, it means, if yun ay, tawag dito, male, which is commonly naman male, tawag dito, it is from his mother. Yun. And lastly, sex influence trait, which means mayroong greater expressivity sa one sex. An example of this is baldness. So, yung mga lalaki lang naman yung karaniwang bald. So, let's go back. Let's go back doon sa question natin. So, dito, tinatanong na kung sex-linked dominant ba or autosomal, sex-linked disease ba siya or autosomal dominant. So, tignan natin, bakit hindi sex-linked? Bakit autosomal dominant? Parang gano'n, di ba? So, sa sex-linked disease, diyan, hindi niya in-specify kung dominant ba siya or recessive, which means in general. So, tignan natin, if yun bang mother ay sa son ba na transmit at kung yung father ba ay sa daughter na i-transmit yung affected. So let's look at the shaded, yung mga shaded na mga shapes yung titignan natin. So tingnan natin. Dito sa first, ito, tawag dito, it is from mother to son. Yung number, dyan, yung nakabilog. It's from mother to son. So possibly, sex link kaya to. But look at the others. Dito sa nakabilog na susunod, it is from mother to daughter. Kasi bilog siya eh. So kapag bilog, it means female yung individual na yon. So that being said, tignan natin na hindi na siya sex-linked disease. That's why the answer here is letter A, autosomal dominant disease. So bakit autosomal dominant? Look and remember that autosomal dominant diseases are they never skip a generation. So, hindi sila nag-skip ng generation. And dito, mula sa grandparent to parent to children, merong affected. That's why the best answer here is autosomal dominant. So, if you think na medyo bitin pa itong session na to, I think I can help you. I created a new TikTok account and doon magdi-discuss ako about techniques in science generally and yon techniques and tips about how to answer CET questions and may mga trivias din. So follow me at Sci TikTok. I'm excited to teach more techniques to you guys. So up next, we will have trigonometry, geometry and statistics that will be discussed to us by Ate Beth.
Hi guys, it's Beth from the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. Today I will be your math lecturer and I will be giving you some tips and general information for you to use sa upcoming ACETs and UPCAT probably. So let's start for mathematics now. Generally in all ACETs, there are a few things you should remember. First is that dapat praktisado tayong lahat. Praktisado tayo sa arithmetic and operations before you really dwell into the problem solvings and the applications of math. Kasi to begin with, kung mali-mali na tayo sa arithmetic or sa simpleng application ng kunyari PEMDAS, hindi natin sasagutan ng mabuti yung mga problem solving na given sa mga ACETs. Another is that we should really memorize, we should really familiarize ourselves sa mga formula na especially in geometry and statistics kasi most of the time ang mga problem doon ay mga basic formula na pinagsama-samang concepts ng basic formula. So let's start. I have here examples ng problems. First, a person stands 150 feet away from a flagpole and measures an angle of elevation of 32 degrees from his horizontal line of sight to the top of the flagpole. Assume that the person's eye are a vertical distance of 6 feet from the ground. What is the height of the flagpole? So, normally, hindi sila nagbibigay ng illustration sa mga ACETs now. So you have to imagine it or illustrate it, no. Makikita nyo dito sa screen ang illustration niya. So if you're familiar with SOHCAHTOA, Sohcahtoa, the triangle, upper triangle, masosolve mo yung H using the trigonometric function ng tangent, which is height over, it's the opposite over adjacent. TOA, tangent is equal to opposite over adjacent. Height over 150 is equal to tangent ng angle, which is, you can see in the illustration, 32 degrees. So, yung H, by manipulation of equation, ang H natin ay H is equal to 150 tangent 32. So, usually, it's written like that kasi they don't expect you naman na to compute na ano yung tangent 32. But, ang tanong niya, assume that the person's eye are a vertical distance of 6 feet. So, yung 150 tan 32 eye level pa lang yun ng tao. So, kapag eye level pa lang yun, kailangan natin pa rin i-add yung height nung before nung eyes. So, ang sagot natin ng height ng pole, kailangan nating i-add yung H at saka yung 6 feet. So, tandaan natin, medyo tricky yung mga gantong question. Dapat alert tayo kasi baka pwedeng isagot nyo na ay 150 tan 32. Next question. At a dinner party, 6 men and 6 women sit at a round table. In how many ways can they sit if men and women are alternate? Etong mga ganito talaga usual problem eh. Sa circular problems, it's usually ang formula ay n-1 factorial. Pero dito, sabi niya kapag alternate daw ang men and women. So, if i-imagine nyo yun, yung 6 factorial at saka i-alternate mo dun sa given na form. Yung 6, i-alternate mo dun sa given na na circular. So, ang magiging formula mo ay 6 factorial, 6, yung n times n minus 1 factorial. So, that would be 5 factorial times 6 factorial. So, I'm giving you the a chance to compute it for yourself. But ang na-compute ko ay 86,400. Ay, but my letter B. Please ignore na lang yung letter B, guys. Then, our last question. Ito naman ay plane geometry, no? An isosceles triangle with the base of 10 cm has an area of 62 cm squared. Find its perimeter. So, anong isosceles triangle? It has two congruent sides, di ba? So, dapat paano natin siya masasagot kung given yung base? So, itong illustration, if you can see on the first illustration, kapag naglagay tayo kapag i-illustrate natin yung height niya, it will be h. Tapos alam natin na ang formula ng area ng triangle ay 1/2 base times height given yung area, which is 60 centimeters squared. Napakita sa slides kanina. Dahil given naman yung base at area, by formula manipulation, makukuha natin yung h, which is 12 centimeters. Tapos, kapag tinake out natin, yung right triangle, as you can see dun sa second figure, makukuha natin yung isang side nung congruent, isa dun sa congruent sides ng triangle using Pythagorean theorem. Pangalanan natin D. D is equal to 5 squared plus 12 squared is equal, kapag inan natin yan, sinolve natin, ang sagot ay 13. So, ang perimeter, di ba, ay sum lang ng lahat ng sides ng isang polygon. So, nakuha mo na yung 13. Meron kang base na 10. So, ang isosceles triangle ay may dalawang congruent sides. So, it would be just 13 plus 13 plus 10, which is 36 centimeters. That's it, guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Sana meron kayong natutunan at God bless sa mga dadating na ACETs nyo. Sana makapasa kayo sa dream school nyo. And for our physics, take it away, Jam.
Hello guys, let's proceed to the physics component. So, in your college entrance test, physics is in the science part along with biology, chemistry, and earth science. So, normally, mga physics questions is either concept or computation. So, let's try this sample problem para meron kayong idea kung ano lumalabas sa mga CETs. So, babasahin ko yung question and then siguro I'll give you mga 10 seconds para mag-isip ng kung ano yung sagot nyo doon sa question na yun. So, I will read it tapos sagutan nyo siya. Beth is standing on a weighing scale inside a stationary elevator and it reads 50 kilograms. What happens to the reading on the scale when the elevator starts moving upward? A. It will not change. B. It will decrease. C. It will not be readable. D. It will increase. I'll give you 5 seconds more. Okay, so the first thing you do sa ganitong problem, lalo na sa physics, is you imagine the situation. Or if you can't imagine, better kung i-sketch nyo siya. So, kunyari yun yung sketch natin. Okay, and then you determine the system na iyong isosolve. Kung alin dyan yung mga kakailanganin mo or asan dyan yung isosolve mo. So, dito, pipiliin natin si Beth at ang weighing scale na nasa loob ng elevator. Bakit? Para madalian tayo mag-solve, sila lang muna yung ating i-consider. Wala muna yung air resistance, pressure, and anything. Okay, kasi ang tinatanong lang naman kung bago ang kanyang weight. So, dito sa system na to, meron tayo dyang tinatawag na normal force. Ano ang normal force? Ang normal force ay ang force na ine-exert ng isang surface sa isang object. For example, sa table, may nakapatong na libro. So, ang libro, naturally, meron niyang mass. Okay? And then, pinupull siya ng force of gravity pababa. So, meron siyang mass times the pull of gravity, that is mg.
Okay? And that is your weight. So, pababa yun. Ngayon, para hindi bumagsak kaya hindi siya bumabagsak yung libro, binabalance out siya ng isang normal force. So, ang normal force, nag-exert siya ng equal na magnitude, pero opposite direction. Okay? Na force doon sa libro. So, may mg na pababa, pero meron ding force na binibigay yung surface, yung table. Kaya, sila ay hindi gumagalaw, walang nahulog, sila ay stationary. Okay? Dahil sila ay balance force. So, the weight is equal to the magnitude of the normal force. So, meron tayo dyang pataas na normal force and then pababang weight. So, remember that normal force is always pataas and weight is always pababa kasi ang pull of gravity ay pababa. Next, we're gonna do ay FBD or the free body diagram. Ito yung i-illustrate na natin kung ano nangyayari. So, ititreat natin si Beth, yung body natin, as a point or a dot. Okay? Siya si X. And then, lahat ng forces na nag-act sa kanya, i-connect lang natin sa dot. Okay? So, si normal force na pataas, and then si weight na pababa. And ang weight natin is 490 newtons. Because, sabi ko kanina, weight is equal to mg. So, meron tayong m, mass na 50 kilograms, and g is a constant. Acceleration due to gravity, 9.8 meter per second squared. So, ang weight ni Beth ay 490 newtons. Okay, meron din tayo dyang acceleration pataas, ay, dahil nasa y-axis siya. Bakit hindi natin sinali doon or hindi natin kinonect sa x? Dahil hindi siya kasali sa ating system. Siya ay nag-act sa elevator. Siya ay acceleration ng elevator at hindi ni Beth or ng weighing scale. Next. Meron tayong formula for the apparent weight. So, ito yon. Pero pag hindi nyo siya alam or kunyari nakalimutan nyo during exam, don't worry. Pwede natin gawin is summation of forces. So, dahil ang forces natin ay nasa y-axis lang naman, okay? So, N minus W. Okay? N na pataas. Bakit minus? Kasi pababa yung W. So, magiging negative siya kasi downward, opposite direction. Pag pares silang pataas, N plus W. Okay? So, N minus W equals MA. Bakit MA? Because gumagalaw siya. It is accelerating. Force is equal to MA. Kapag stationary siya, force is equal to 0. Walang net force, okay? So, N minus W equals 0. Pero dahil gumagalaw siya, N minus W equals MA. So, dahil sabi ko nga kanina, W is equal to mg, pwede nating palitan yan as N minus mg equals MA. And then, pag transpose natin, lilipat natin si mg. N equals MA plus mg. Tapos, pag manipulate natin yan, makukuha na natin yung formula dito sa taas. Okay. So, going up, ang acceleration natin ay positive kasi pataas siya. So, ibig sabihin, yung N equals G, M times the quantity of G plus AY. And kung i-substitute natin lahat ng ating given, N equals 50 kilograms times the quantity of 9.8 plus 2 meter per second squared. That is 590 newtons. That is the normal force. So, sabi ko nga kanina, equal ang magnitude ng normal force at ng weight. Kaya nga sila nagbabalance out. Hindi, walang net force, so walang paggalaw. So, kanina, ang weight niya ay 50 nung stationary yung elevator. Tapos nung gumalaw siya, naging daw 590 newtons. So, ibig sabihin, nag-increase ang kanyang weight. So, the answer is letter D. Okay, so kung nag-answer kayo ng it will not change, letter A, okay lang. Sa batch 1 of review din namin, marami ding nalito. That's why, maganda rin kapag umattend kayo ng mga lectures, ng mga review sessions, para kung may mga nakalimutan man kayo, ma-refresh, or kapag may mga hindi kayo alam, may matutunan kayo mga techniques to solve or to answer. Paano naman po kapag pababa yung elevator? Okay, so pag pababa yung elevator, yung acceleration na natin ngayon ay negative. Kasi sabi ko kanina, kapag opposite direction, negative. So yung N or yung normal force natin ay magiging mass times G minus AY. So 50, insert natin lahat, substitute natin lahat ng given. 50 times the quantity of 9 minus 8 minus 9.8 minus 2 meter per second squared, and that is 390. And that is less than the original weight of Beth. So, kapag pababa pala, nababawasan ang kanyang weight. Kapag naman nasa free fall, okay, dahil ang free fall, ang acceleration niyan ay constant, that is equal to acceleration due to gravity. Kapag bumabagsak lang yung elevator, walang nag-hold na string, ang acceleration niya ay equal na sa g. So, n, magiging n na times m, n equals m times g minus g. So, g minus g is 0. So, ang normal force mo ay 0. So, dahil equal nga ang normal force sa weight, yung weight mo rin ay 0. So, feeling mo, weightless ka. Wala kang maramdamang weight mo. So, parang kapag nasa mga rides ka, ganyan, yung mga extreme tower, biglang bumabagsak, mga Vikings na ganyan, feeling mo, pagpababa, free fall, hindi mo maramdaman yung kaluluwa mo, parang ganon. So, feeling mo, wala kang weight nun. Weightlessness ang tawag dun. But, yung mass mo nandun pa rin. Yung weight mo lang yung napapalitan dahil weight is dependent on location. So, that is our answer, letter D, for this question. And let's move on to the last subject na di-discuss ni Kuya Dennis. Take it away, Kuya Dennis.
Hello again. I'm back, and today we're going to learn about reading comprehension, which is one of the most important things in kailangan nyo ding matutunan when answering the UPCAT or your CETs, kasi most sets or most of the college entrance exams merong reading comprehension in one way or another, and isa yan sa pinakamahabang part ng UPCAT. Alright, so let's go through it. Here, I'm gonna share screen with you, our slide for today. And we're gonna have a discussion. So the reading comprehension is 90 items in the UPCAT, and that should be done in 70 minutes. So imagine nyo yun, 70 minutes lang yung time nyo. That gives you around 40 to 45 seconds into answering each question. So maganda na maging practice nyo na in when you're preparing for reading comprehension, sa simula pa lang, dapat 45 seconds lang inaalat yung time nyo in answering one question. Ibigay mo, napakahaba ng paragraph na sa'yo, na binigay sa'yo, and you only have 30 seconds or 45 seconds to answer that. Yeah. But reading comprehension, or yung pagiging mabilis sa reading comprehension, is a skill, and as many skills natututunan yan. Alright? So let's go through it. Ayan. So what makes it challenging, ang pinaka-just lang talaga nito, is kapag mabagal tayo magbasa, mahihirapan ka talaga sa reading comprehension. So one of the things that I really encourage my students to do is you really need to read a lot and often. So I want to ace reading comprehension in my CETs. What do I need to do? You need to read a lot and read often. Make it a habit. Make it a habit of reading, no? Kahit simulan mo lang na onti ngayon, tapos each and every day, dumadami yan. There's this compound effect that if you start a habit, even just small habits, in one day, it is going to compound by the end. Saka mo makikita yung results mo in the long term. And here, nakita din natin dito ano yung mga common focus ng reading comprehension. If you can see it here, I'm going to highlight them. Most ng topics ng reading comprehension ay government, anatomy, physiology, culture, famous people, natural history, and many more. So kung gusto nyo magbasa kayo mostly mga articles sa dyaryo, ganun, articles on the internet, books, novels, yan. Minsan pa nga mayroong mga things about the economy, minsan may mga pinapakitang graphs, and you need to understand what all of those mean. And para malaman nyo yun, you really need to develop your skill in comprehending what you have read. Okay? So here I'm gonna give you tips and general tips in reading comprehension. The first tip is read the questions first. I can't express this with emphasis enough. Basahin nyo muna yung tanong. Sa UPCAT, bibigyan kayo actually ng papel doon for scratch, and pwede kayo humingi ng marami actually for math questions. So for math, actually talaga yung paper na yun, but I also use that for reading comprehension. What I do is, I go to each of the questions, tapos kunyari, ang tanong sa question is, what year did Neil Armstrong land on the moon? And what I'm gonna write on my paper is, Neil Armstrong land moon. Keywords lang. Kasi mabilisan, nail, answer, land, moon. Then I'm gonna read the passage, tapos by the end of that, because I already listed down keywords, I already parang meron na sa isip ko na nare-retain na sa isip ko, ano yung hinahanap ko dito sa binabasa ko ngayon. So read the questions first. The second one is avoid but getting involved while reading. Naku, kasalanan ko din yan most of the time. Kasi nga, sometimes when you read, lalo na kapag may tearjerker sa dulo o medyo emotional yung binabasa mo, nadadala ka, di ba? Nadadala ka sa binabasa mo, may umiiyak ka na habang nagbabasa ka. So really, you have to practice objective reading. Nagbabasa ka not for leisure, though you can do that kapag may spare time ka, but you're reading para makakuha ka ng information. And that is very important. Alright, number 3 is understand the main idea of the article. Lagi yan, mahanap niyan sa first, which we call sometimes the thesis statement, the first, and the concluding statements, no? Yun yung main idea. Mostly, doon mo makukuha yung main idea of the articles. Alright, number 4 is pay attention to details because sometimes, yung mga questions natin is minsan nanggagaling ko sa mga smallest details. As someone who has made reading comprehension subtest na for our review center, yun nga, minsan pampalito yung mga little details pa yung kinukuha ng mga test proctors. No? Alright. And number 5, understand the main idea of each paragraph. Yes. Ay practice nyo na habang pag nagbabasa kayo ng newspaper, try nyo na each paragraph, isama kayo siya. Or get the main idea of each paragraph, no? Para naiintindihan nyo at napapaalalahanan ka din about what ba yung binabasa mo, right? Number 6, understand the author's point of view and logic. Very important. Saan nanggagaling yung author, no? Ano yung katayuan ng author that will help you understand what is his tone, what is his perspective, kung saan niya sinulat, no? Because the main idea of the article is basically kung ano yung sinasabi ng author, kung ano yung gusto kong sabihin. Sa pagkahaba-haba ng mga pinagsabi ko dito, ano ba yung gusto kong sabihin? And that, yung understanding the author's point of view and logic will actually help you in that. So read stories, articles, newspapers on a regular basis. Make it a habit. And lastly, learn to differentiate implication, stated fact, and inference. Alright, implication is yung meron ka ng given, yung parang hinuha, ganun, kumbaga. It's an opinion, but it's an educated opinion, no? And inference, of course, stated fact is sinabi talaga siya explicitly sa text. And inference is to come to a conclusion. So from all of the stated facts na sinabi sa'yo, ano yung mahihinuha mo doon, right? The first one, implication, is educated opinion. Inference, on the second hand, is from the facts, you get a conclusion kung ano yung gustong sabihin ng author. And that's it for reading comprehension. Medyo mabilis lang talaga siya, pero I hope you learned something at least kahit kaunti man. Thank you very much and see you in our online reviews kung mag-enroll kayo. Bye-bye!
Hoping to see you in our review sessions. Again, this is Isko Online Review, kaagapay ng mga susunod na iskolar ng bayan.